welcome for the session Contract Accounting, the value of contract accounting. We will show you in the next 1.5 hours, the value which contract accounting provides in S/4HANA. With me, I have Susanne Kruse-Dill as a presenter. Maybe you want to introduce yourself, Susie?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Susie Kruse-Dill. I'm product manager of Billing and Revenue Innovation Management, where contract accounting, or FICA, is an important component of the end-to-end solution.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Michael.
And my name is Michael Seitz, and I'm doing product management for contract accounting for FICA, for quite some time. So let's start. About which topics we will talk. First of all, we will give you an introduction into the industries which are using FICA contract accounting. Then we will do some general statements. We periodically do receive some questions, and we try already, upfront to give the answers to those questions. And if we talk about FICA and contract accounting, so we always have to talk about convergent invoicing, which is somehow the twin application to FICA. And the integration is very strong into that component. That's why we have this topic as well. Then I want to give you an introduction about automation in FICA and two main upcoming topics which we are currently developing here, which is situations management and cash application for FICA. After that, I will give you an overview about the sub-ledger transfer of documents functionality, which is very new in FICA. So you can post from FICA to FIAR LP. Then the topic disconnection, reconnection of services, which can be triggered out of FICA, out of the processes in FICA. Then a topic which is out already for quite some time. We have a bunch of Fiori apps in contract accounting, which do really make use of HANA, but it's not that known, the functionality. Therefore, I want to show that. Then some further new Fiori apps. Then the digital payment add-on integration, which is available for FICA. The risk-based IFRS 9 reporting, which gives you an overview about value adjustments in FICA. And then the final functional topic is the S/4HANA performance optimization, before Susie will talk about the roadmap. Okay, so then let's start. Okay, I start with FICA in the industries on top of FICA. So on the bottom here, you can see that we have some basis functionality available, which is the core FICA and convergent invoicing software layer. They are both in the same software layer, and therefore convergent invoicing and FICA can be used in all of those industry solutions, which you can see here as blue boxes. And in a customer system, it's always only possible to activate one of those industry solutions which are sitting on top of FICA. And then, just for completeness, we have a further module sitting on FICA. This is the so-called FICA-C, which is only for the public cloud foreseen. On top of those FICA-specific industry parts here in those blue boxes. There are further functionalities like, for example, for insurance policy and claims management. On the other modules, there are further solutions sitting. Okay, then for completeness as well, we currently develop in that area. So for utilities, there is in the public cloud a minimal viable scope with FICA content available with 2102. This is the release name. And for insurance, it is planned for 2108 to have a first solution, first scenarios available in the public cloud. Okay, so much for FICA and the industries on top of FICA. So then I directly come to general statements. So FICA is part of S/4HANA. It's not an add-on like it is often mentioned. It's simply part of FICA, and it can be activated by activating one of those industry solutions which you've seen in those blue boxes. Then we have a cloud delivery as well. And important to understand is for S/4HANA, we did a lot of performance optimization in the area of FICA, but we did not do a simplification like it was done in other areas like financial core. A simplification of the data model was not necessary in the FICA area. FICA is, of course, integrated with SD, with core finance. We post into the general ledger. So yeah, this is like you know that from ECC. And of course, FICA is integrated or can be used in central finance scenarios, but it is not directly integrated. It is more, you have to post all the postings from FICA into a local general ledger, and from there you can distribute those postings into a central finance. But you cannot simply, the subledger documents, the FICA documents cannot be distributed using central finance technology. FICA is still the first choice subledger in S/4HANA for those industries with high volume and which are using subscription and usage-based scenarios. We are the subledger which should be taken. But of course, FICA can coexist with the other very important subledger, FIAR and AP, and can coexist. But we would always recommend to do that only for distinct customer groups. And lastly, convergent invoicing, of course. You will see that in a minute, is very good integrated, very well integrated with FICA, and making use of the revenue accounting and reporting as well. So much for those general statements. Any questions so far? If so, please raise them. So when to use contract accounting? So we always recommend it whenever you have a typical B2C, business to customer or business to citizen business, or in case you have B2B with complexity. FICA has a very flexible master data model. So right from the beginning, FICA was built and using the business partner as the master data. Below the business partner, there can be one or several contract accounts. This is an FICA master data part, and the contract account describes how the customer pays and how the customer is getting done, for example, how the customer can get the invoice, things like that are part of the contract account. And below the contract account, there can be one or several contracts, industry-specific contracts. So then, furthermore, we have subscription can be used. We can have very granular invoices with itemized transactions. And by the way, Susie, I recognize you showed that slide last time.
Are you sure? I don't think so, but I can take over for the specific capabilities in contract accounting. So the invoices we can create with our convergent invoicing component that posts into FICA. We can deal with the invoices for subscriptions and usage, so pay-per-use for digital services, cloud usage, any content across various industries, either prepaid or postpaid. And these invoices don't only contain an aggregated portion of what is maybe a recurring charge and what is the total amount of the consumption, but can prove in the itemized transactions or event to the customer, this is what you have used with date and time and the specific service type. So that's a kind of validation with the end customer when we issue the invoice, that he has a kind of a follow-up and can prove is it really what he consumed. And if it comes to an invoice dispute, we can decide if the customer complains, for example, on a single event, he thinks the amount has been calculated wrongly, or that he did not even consume this event, we can create a dispute and an invoice correction down to that specific event level. That's a kind of a real benefit. Otherwise, the customer may not pay the entire invoice, just to that maybe small amount for this event. So we can achieve a DSO reduction in not only reversing the invoice, canceling the invoice, but just get a credit memo on that disputed amount. Right. So, and all these things, if we, like Michael mentioned, we can perfectly deal with the B2C business. And hence, we have a high degree of automation, not only in regards to high performance and scalability, but also coming to the next point, our processes run unattended with no touch of all the processes. For billing, we have the billing cycles. For other debtor-related processes in FICA, we are using mass activities that are scheduled, that don't have to be executed manually. But we are also eager to treat the customers as individually as possible. And therefore, we have quite a couple of business rules, may it BRF Plus, may it configuration settings, where we have, like, for example, in the clearing control, or in write-offs, value adjustments, whatever, we are eager on considering and evaluating an account situation of our end customer and treat him accordingly, but automatically. And the last point, which is also specific for the FICA subledger, is that we aggregate our posting content into the general ledger, because very often we have to deal in the B2C business with low amounts that are not interesting to have a single line item in a GL document, therefore. So we are aggregating the posting content into on its way into a general ledger. Nevertheless, we are providing more and more flexibility, since we also can deal and are equipped to deal with B2B customers, where we dissolve this aggregation into GL in order to have reporting dimensions into the in the Universal Journal of S/4HANA, to see this directly in the Universal Journal, not requiring any additional reporting or analytical capabilities for these important reporting dimensions. Basically, FICA has some weaknesses in regards to connection to the logistics processes. So we can deal with physical goods as well. So we don't need a separate customer. If we come to the right side of these slides, but we can hand over the billing for physical goods, for services, so technical services, to the also to FICA, if this is the subledger of the choice, or direct, or not to FICA directly as the subledger posting, but also into convergent invoicing to converge physical products invoices into the portions for subscriptions and pay-per-use invoices. And since we have to deal with these high number of customers and postings, we are reluctant to post real time. Otherwise, our aggregation capabilities will disappear, in contrast to FIER, where we have the real-time posting. As soon as, for example, an invoice is issued, it's directly posted into general ledger. We have a transfer because we want to aggregate. But as I said, we are working on capabilities more and more flexible to dissolve this aggregation. Basically, both are subledger components, or fully capable subledgers that have to deal with credit risk checks. So we both are integrated into the credit management. Both are dealing a bit differently, but both are dealing with disputes based on the different paradigms of both subledgers, and both have the capabilities to collect cash. Michael will later on explain what we recently delivered for machine learning. We have the cash application that not only works with FIER, we have an own cash application now that works with FICA. Did I forget something, Michael? I forgot something. FIER only deals with receivables. FICA can deal with multi-sided business models. So Michael mentioned the master data model we have in mind here. So our processes in FICA are tailored not to differentiate if there is a credit or a debit. We have another data object here. We have a contract account, and we can receive and post and pay or compensate, repay also credits, not only focusing on receivables. I've seen, Ken, you have a question? Is convergent invoicing a separate license or part of S/4HANA? There is a question. So convergent invoicing has an a la carte license. So if it's required, just to use the subledger component FICA. There is a separate pricing. You can plug in then maybe at a later point in time also convergent invoicing, and both components, CI, convergent invoicing, and FICA, can also be part of an overall bundle for the BRIM end-to-end processes. Then your question, would the transaction level disputes currently require an external CRM instance for FCC dispute management? So in S/4HANA, we have the financial customer care component, which is tailored also to B2C processes using an interaction center, which is also part, not of FICA, but it's also part of the BRIM bundle. This has been moved from the good old CRM into the S/4HANA world. What is here still missing is the dispute management capabilities connected to the invoices in convergent invoicing posted to FICA. So we are working on that, and maybe you can see it in our last section on the roadmap. This is planned for next year, the main release in S/4HANA, that we have connected all the pieces here for dispute management and adjustment requests in the financial customer care of FICA. Okay, I think I have to go on with the integration of contract accounting and convergent invoicing. As I already mentioned or briefly touched, is that our convergent invoicing component has been developed as a side component to FICA, using the same paradigms, the same technical layer, and the same principles of the FICA high volume and automation capabilities. And in the evolution of the entire BRIM end-to-end solution based on FICA and together with CI, we had a wide range of SAP customers across all industries that contributed to the development and features and functions of convergent invoicing and also of FICA. They contributed with their requirements, with their questions and their ideas. And these customers were mainly the peers in the service industries, where we are originally coming from, utilities and telcos, but we evolved to a cross-industry solution, last but not least, due to our pilot customers in the high-tech industry, the pilots in the digital business transformation. So if you look at the left side of the slides, where we see different services from any metering or billing content platform, maybe a download or a digital content, a toll, a mobility service, or a subscription for print or cloud services over a contract term. And this is the differentiator. We are dealing with contracts, long-term contracts over a certain contract term. All these information are imported into convergent invoicing in a very flexible and easily operated way, with different information that these events or transactions can carry. Especially we have on these different usage types information that is important, or we have even customer specific data that is important for our customers to influence the downstream processes. If we go then to the right side of this slide, the downstream processes in billing, accounting, and payment handling. So the events, the consumption or usage can be either priced or not yet rated, because we want first to collect the used transactions before we hand them over, for example, to a scale pricing. We don't do pricing by our own in convergent invoicing, except it's a really simple function module we can establish to calculate the percentage or whatever, or to calculate a fixed price, whatever, but we can hand that over to really sophisticated applications like convergent charging or a legacy rating and charging engine a customer may have at hand. So we can deal with not only one rating system, we can deal with several rating systems in convergent invoicing to finally get then transactions that are already priced. So, and this consumption can be either paid after invoice issuing, so postpaid, can be immediately paid with a download of a digital content, a ringtone or a movie or whatever, or it can be prepaid with a purchased bucket of services. And also recurring or one-time charges as a basic component of a subscription can be either received from a rating system, so like convergent charging I mentioned before, or any legacy external billing platform, or we can generate the billing content, the so-called billable items, with billing plans and convergent invoicing. So maybe you already recognize all these granular events are persisted in CI as consumption or billable items and will be aggregated also similar to the way we aggregate the posting content in FICA. The billing content will be aggregated based on configurable criteria or split criteria in the billing and invoicing processes. So therefore, we have two steps in our convergent invoicing engine. The first is the billing, and then later on, we go further down, and the next process, which is the invoicing process, where we can aggregate also the billing documents as the result of the billing process and issue the invoice. That can have dramatic advantages if we want to achieve an artificial workload balance, because at the time of invoice, and we have periodic invoices, not one-time invoices after delivery when we sell from stock, for example, but we are waiting, we have billing cycles, and we are waiting for the consumption to flow into the system. And when we calculate or issue the invoice at the end of the month, we don't have to read all the billable items anymore, but we have a pre-invoicing step with a billing in between. And the persistence of these granular data and the billable items is the differentiator for us to itemize on the invoice and to provide the dispute on granular level capabilities. The invoices, of course, can be sent then via any communication channel to our customers, and the postings to contract accounting to the subledger, either AR or AP, are seamlessly created. AP, if we have, for example, a revenue share and partner settlement capabilities used in our BRIM components, we can also compensate our partners. There's also the option to combine, as I mentioned before, billing content from sales billing, for example, for a physical product that's a hardware enabler, into convergent invoicing to create one invoice. Or, Michael, if you click once, vice versa, if we have customers that have an installed base with SD and FIAR, are really in the traditional product delivery business, and think of enriching their business models with subscriptions. Instead of possession of a physical product, they want to go for subscriptions, at least for a portion of their customers, and see how this business evolves. Then it makes more sense to use the billable item management capabilities of convergent invoicing and hand over the aggregated billing documents as billing document requests to the SD billing component and combine them with other portions coming maybe from sales billing into the FIAR subledger, and so have no disruption in their installed business processes. Right, so now we have mentioned maybe once or twice or even more often that convergent invoicing and FICA are tightly connected, not only from a technical layer and the technical principles in mass processing of the billing content and the posting data. So we have all capabilities on the left side for convergent invoicing that most of them differentiate to the traditional SD billing capabilities in order to deal with all these specific processes in subscription and usage handling. There are a couple of capabilities mentioned here on the left side. I don't want to go through all these details. I'm sure you will get the presentation after this meeting to digest all the points here in a little bit more detail. But what makes this connection unique is whenever we are executing the invoicing process in convergent invoicing, we have in access the contract account of FICA. So we read the contract account so we can state, oh, we have some older open items that have not been cleared or paid by the customer. So we could do put this also on the invoice and make the customer aware you have to pay this still. It's still open. You're in default for that. But not only read access, we can execute debtor-related processes from FICA when we do invoicing. Like account maintenance, like the calculation of payment charges, like dunning, and other processes. So the benefit of this is we have this all in access when we create an invoice. So we can save the batch window for later account maintenance dunning processes in FICA, and hence reduce the batch window and the time needed to execute these processes. That's a very crucial point. If you're coming from an FSD, FIR world, this may not sound really reasonable, but we have a couple of customers where we have to find where we had to find tricky ways in the past to stay in the batch window, which is usually the night, not to come into the real-time phases of the productive systems with our customers. So that's basically the blessings of convergent invoicing and contract accounting. If we consider that convergent invoicing, and here we have some customer examples that don't issue an invoice in convergent invoicing, because this has been done on the platform, on the digital content platform, whatever a customer subscribes or downloads. So an invoice is not required anymore, but we want to derive the correct accounting for the different service types. We want to create immediately also the posting, the payment postings and all that stuff. And this is also an important aspect why convergent invoicing together with FICA can provide a huge benefit in that play together. Michael?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Susie. Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
I could talk
Okay,
days.
now I take over. Yeah, automation in FICA. And so this slide shows how we look at this topic. We think we have already a very highly automated application with contract accounting. Nevertheless, there are two main areas where our customers still need improvement, and that's why we have those topics here. The first one is cash application for FICA. So nowadays we have customers, the best ones have nearly 96% of their payments which can be processed automatically and unattended, so to say. The payments will find to the necessary to the invoices which have to be cleared automatically by rules, by a rule-based approach. Nevertheless, we have customers with a lot of invoices, and they have, for example, 40,000 clarification cases each month, and an improvement to 97% would mean that they have 10,000 clarification cases less each month, which would be a tremendous achievement. And therefore, we have the cash application. I will talk about that topic in more detail later on. So that's one thing, reduction of manual cases. And then we have another thing. Since FICA is very highly automated, we have a lot of mass runs which run during the night, for example, and which can create warnings, errors, success messages, which need follow up. And therefore, I don't think that it's for a modern application a good thing that you have each morning to check your logs which were produced during the night. We want to bring with a situation framework, with the message-based situations, we want to bring only those cases to the attendance where there's really need for follow-up, and that's what situations is for. I will go into that topic now a little bit more in detail. What is it about? That's what I talked about. You have those job logs or application logs created by our mass runs, and it's not that easy to find the relevant messages for you. And even more, there's no documentation. Maybe you fixed one thing here, but there's no documentation what you've done in past. And we experienced that customers did not even look into application logs, and hopefully the next run will pick the item again and processes the item. That's what really happens. So the future is our message-based situations. We will create for those things situations, and you can select those situations. You have an app, a Fiori app, My Situations. You can see them here, a situation, for example, from the payment run and one from the dunning run. And if you click on those situations, you get more description what really happened. This is an example in the system. And even more, you have related actions. You can from here navigate now directly into the contract account and delete, for example, a log which was selected here in the payment run. Or you can go to the business partner financial overview and check what is this business partner about. And then furthermore, those situations have a status. In the end, once you processed it, you can set it to resolved. So how does it look like? In a nutshell, you have a My Situations app. You can click there and check what is really. You can check your situations which were created last night, for example, and from there you have the actions to solve the problems and the situations. Furthermore, to be mentioned here, we as SAP we do deliver templates for those situations, so that the content is really already delivered by SAP. Of course, it can be extended, it can be changed. Yeah, it's only a template, but we try to give already in the delivery a meaningful examples. How does it look like? At first, you do your configuration. You need to manage teams and responsibilities who will get those situations which were created. You have to manage those situation types. Then, you run the mass activities or mass processes in FICA, for example, running each night or which are scheduled. Like, for example, dunning or interest run, and then you have to check the results. You have your application, My Situations, and therefore there you can then work on the created situations. So that's it for situations. If you have any questions, please, simply ask. Coming to the next topic, cash application for FICA. So there's another cash application for FIAR, and FICA has a little bit of different approach. We do not do, like in FIAR, we do not do line item matching in FICA. We simply do use the node to payee and do use machine learning techniques to interpret the node to payee and transfer it into selection criteria like a business partner or contract account or document number or invoice document number. This translation is done by machine learning. So we do not replace our rule-based approach, but we do machine learning on top of the rule-based approach. That's important to understand. Cache application can be used without configuration effort. You simply switch it on, and we do use the rule-based approach, like I mentioned already. How does it look like? There's at first the training process, and we learn from historical clearings and historical payment lots. We learn and build a model in the cache application. The cache application is a cloud application, so we pass those information to a cloud and build up this model. And then we have the inference and matching process, where we simply, for each and every payment which was received but not identified so far, so it's not clear for which invoice the payment is, we create clarification cases and pass those clarification cases to machine learning, and to receive back from machine learning a matching proposal with a confidence level for each payment. So now we have a question. And you for BRIM, is this correct? Yeah, this is correct. For situation handling, yes, this is correct. But we already delivered for first pilot applications for on-premise in 2020. We delivered already for the dunning run and the dunning runs, so dunning proposal run and dunning activity run. as well as for the payment run, we delivered already the integration to situations management in this release. So, of course, this is only a start, and we will work further. So most content will be delivered in 2021. That's true. Yes. And the quarter is, I think it's Q3 or beginning of 4. I do not know exactly when for on-premise out.
So I think it's the main release 2021, right?
Yeah, that's the main release. That's fair to
Yeah, not
say.
within the feature support package.
Yeah. And then the second question, for greenfield implementation of FICA, can FIR cache app history be used for machine learning? No, this is not possible, since you will see that in a minute. I can show that in a minute why this is not possible. Okay. So here, this is already the answer. So we are learning from historical data. That means we are learning from the FICA historical data. For the future, we are building on a historical data the optimal model, and that's what you can see here. So here, electronic bank statements, note to payee, and from the payment lot items, for example. We learn, as well as from master data, which is the business partner, internal, external business partner ID, and the contract account or the contract or bank data. And as you can see, only partially the data is the same for FIAR, and that's why we need really FICA data which we can learn from. Furthermore, customizing data is taken as input, like selection category or selection field. From that, we train the model from this data and build the model in the cloud application. So this was the answer to the question. How does the process look like? Very short. We do import as well. Like in the past, the process is very similar to what we had in the past already for FICA. We import the bank statement, transfer the data from the bank account to the payment lot using FPV7. Then we have the payment lot. And normally now we do those automatic clearings with a rule-based approach. And if this does not work, so then this is this 4% path, so to say, we create clarification cases, and those clarification cases can be passed to the cloud application, and we do receive back from the cloud the payment proposals, so the clearing proposals and confidence level for each payment. So what can you do with that confidence level? You can customize the system in a way that it, for example, everything with a confidence level higher than 95% is cleared automatically. So you do not check it anymore. Everything what is between a certain thresholds, below 95% and a bit higher than 90% needs to be checked. And then you can say in the end, skip the proposal in case the confidence level is lower than 60%, for example. That's what you can do with this confidence level. You can use the probability whether this proposal is right. Okay, so that's it for the machine learning part for SAP cache application. And now I do come to the next topic, subledger transfer of documents. So we have a new functionality with which you can do the following. First precondition to use it is that you maintain in your contract account a new field, which says something, where you enter something like post this to FIAR, FIAP, or FIAP. This somehow you need to mark this contract account. You need to mark our master data. Furthermore, you have to do some customizing regarding the main and sub transaction you post to this contract accounts. But if you have done that, then the process looks like following. You post then this documents, for example, from convergent invoicing. You post documents here to the FICA contract account. Those documents have a special clearing restriction, which is picked up. If you go to two here, which is then picked up by a new mass run, by a new mass activity, and this mass activity clears this document and in a synchronous way passes it over to FIAR-AP and posts it here. Okay. How does it look like if you look at the posting schema? Of course, the postings in FICA are done like in the past. We post receivables against taxes and revenues, and you have the gross amount on the contract account. That's if you look at on the account display, you see here's a document posted, but it has a clearing restriction. Those accounts are only settlement accounts, because then when we clear the invoice, when the mass runs and picks up those open items, we simply cancel it in FICA and post to the final accounts, separate accounts. It can be separate accounts, so we would recommend to use separate accounts. Post it here in FIAR. So those accounts are more kind of transition accounts. So this scenario, we would never recommend, I would say, to use in parallel FIAR or FICA for the same business partner. But we have customers, a lot of customers, who are using some kind of transition functionality. Maybe they started a new B2C business and they are using for this B2C business convergent invoicing. And then they need to post to FICA, but since they start with only a small portion of customers, they simply do not want to introduce now for this small portion of customers FICA. On the long term, maybe they want to go to FICA, and then they really like this functionality and want to use that. Okay, so much for that. Are there questions? No. Coming to the next topic, disconnection, reconnection of services, new functionality. So we have customers who have services like, for example, electricity. And when the customer does not pay the invoice, they automatically want to trigger that this electricity, or can be other services as well, that this electricity needs to be disconnected. And we are doing that. We offer functionality. You can customize the system so that you create so-called disconnection requests and trigger those disconnection requests to a remote system. In FICA, we do not control whether the disconnection really happened. We only create proposals for disconnection. The decision about the real disconnection happens somewhere else. But in case the customer does not, so we trigger those requests out of the Dunning run. But if the customer does then afterwards pay and we do receive the payment, then it may happen that the customer maybe reached a certain threshold of, for example, 80% of the invoice, and then you want to do a reconnection again. Then we send a reconnection request again to the external system, and there it is decided whether the customer will be reconnected. FCA is only the trigger, creates only triggers for an external system. Okay, then coming to the KPIs in contract accounting. Oh, we have a question. Is there an instance for subscription business with FICA and traditional is run in ECC? Can subledger transfer be used to move from FICA to FI in different?
Yeah, exactly. That was the original starting point of this development, Michael, if you remember right. We had this customer with several ECC instances where they run their FIAR, and some of them insisted on having their receivables in their ECC system in FIR.
The question is whether we can pass over the information from S4 to ECC. Yeah. This is possible. Yeah. Because FICA simply uses an BAPI interface, so that's why this is possible. Yeah. Okay. KPIs in contract accounting. So we have a lot of, I would call that analytical applications in FICA, and this, this screen shows that very nicely, where you really can have live data, how it does look like currently in your system. So this is not a snapshot or something like that. It's really live data. Just to give you a short overview, what is available, you have your overdue items, and on every of those tiles you can click and navigate and get more details about those data. Then we have credits, you have write-offs, returns, installment plans. Then we have apps for dunning volume and dunning success here below. 2 apps for payment run and dunning run exceptions, which are the most important mass runs in FICA. Then several apps regarding payment logs, our business logs, payment logs, clearing logs, and posting and dunning logs. Then there's a separate apps to analyze the complete, all the clearing reasons which are available in the system, and you can filter and navigate from there. And that's it mainly. To my open work list, I will come later. So imagine, for example, one thing first. From here, you can do adapt this overview here, user specific. You can, for example, copy the Analyze Overdue Items app and copy it and select a little bit different so that you show, like I did it here in this example, what is overdue by today and this one shows all overdue items. So you can have further filters and adapt the overview to your own needs. The color codes here can be adapted as well. This is customizable for each user. And once you click down and click on the, for example, if you click here on the overdue items app, you get further information. And here, for example, there's a drill down and you get a bar for each month of due dates. Normally it should look like that, the older, the fewer amounts you have. And from here, you can drill down further if you want to, or you can filter by some criteria and do the information split, for example, by business area or dunning procedure or other topics. And you can as well have a look at the business partners which are behind this bar. And then you get a list sorted by the amount, for example, and you can mark business partners and press here and create a work list for the clerk working in the backend, so to say, and writes this, for example, writes those old items off, or does anything else on those items. You can describe in the work list what needs to be done, and then you have here your open work list app and can check the progress on the work list. Okay. With this bunch of apps, you get really a real-time insight in several core processes of FICA. You can create your custom KPIs, and you can check follow-up activities which you triggered here. So if you want to have further information, you can simply navigate from here to the Fiori apps library and simply select by the accounts payable and receivable manager FICA, and then you will get a list of all the FICA apps. If you want, we have several apps for convergent invoicing manager and a specialist as well. Navigate here, and then you will see those applications. Then, just to give you an impression about further new Fiori apps, we have this Business Partner Financial Overview app, where you get a 360 degrees overview on each business partner. You select by business partner, and then you see the most important things like contract accounts, invoicing documents, payment returns, all those objects you see here. And from here, you can navigate further into the invoicing documents or into the contract account and so on. And the most important KPIs you see here already. So which payment method, the last payment, or the last dunning notice. So a very good overview about the business partner, just as an example. Then another app, I always call this Swiss knife app for working on business partner items. You can select business partner items by various criteria, as you can see here in the top. It's furthermore possible to have further filters. You can adapt the filters. Very flexible selection. For example, only by main transactions, so that you have all the dunning charges, for example, for a certain due date. You can select that, and from here you can do a write-off, a manual write-off, for example, like you can see here. You can do a reversal, or you can change the document and so on. So very flexible as a working list to be used. Okay. If you want to see all those new Fiori apps, simply select again from the Fiori app library and use this link, and then you will find further information. So then coming to the next topic, if there's no question, digital payment add-on integration. I want to start here with this overview. In the past, whenever you wanted in a project to integrate with the external payment service provider, you needed to do that application by application. If you wanted to do it for SD business, for example, and then later on for FI and FIAR, one subledger has to be used in SD scenarios. You had to do that several times. So for each application you are using, and you do need the payment service provider integration, which of course is expensive, cumbersome, and as soon as you integrated the next payment service provider, you had to do that again, because payment service providers have their own interfaces. The same, if you have an external system and a web shop, you have to do the same for this as well. And with this, with the new SAP digital payment add-on, this is different. So first thing is, FICA, convergent invoicing are integrated with SAP digital payment add-on. And as soon as an application is integrated, it is, it can be reused for all those payment service providers which the digital payment add-on is integrated with. So it's easier to get further payment service providers onboarded, so to say. Do not have separate integrations anymore. You only need to integrate to the SAP digital payments add-on. It is a tokenized solution. Then you have the reconciliation automated. It happens only within those applications here, SAP digital payment add-on and the SAP solution. It's easier to onboard. So that's the main advantages. So we have a question again. This recording will be available to the participants afterwards. Okay. So next topic. Here you have an overview about those payment service providers which are already integrated, and those are integrated with FICA then as well. And of course, if you are missing here payment service provider, just contact SAP, and it's always possible to onboard here further payment service providers. Next question. Yes, of course, we will do that. Okay. Now coming to the next topic, the IRFS reporting. This reporting is based in the GL, so it's based on GL data, but FICA posts into the GL and passes over further information so that this can be used, and FICA was the pilot already for IFRS 9 reporting. What do you see here? First of all, you get a split of all your, in FICA we call those value adjustments. You get a split by all the value adjustments you did by a risk class, and the risk class is a categorization for each and every business partner. You can reuse the risk class from sub-credit management, or you can set the risk class for each business partner different if you do not use credit management. So what does it show? It shows the value adjustment for example, at the beginning of the reporting period. It shows whether it has been increased, the value adjustment. So instead of 10%, the customer was value adjusted by 20%, something like that. Then you can see the released value adjustments in case it was taken back, it was reduced to 0%. Then the utilized balance amount, which means you posted a value adjustment and then finally you do a write-off because you really do not get the money. Then the transfer, it can happen that in the beginning customer was in risk class A and then the customer changed to risk class B. The effect to foreign currency valuation, and then finally the ending balance. So very good overview what happens regarding your value adjusted receivables can be seen in this reporting. Okay, coming to the last functional topic. Oh, I have to hurry up a little bit. Yeah, when we did the transition from any database to S/4HANA, we had several steps in between. We went on Suite on HANA, and then finally it was S/4HANA was introduced, and the FICA team had a long journey to do performance improvements and achieve really good performance on S/4HANA and make use of the attributes of S/4HANA. So that was really a long journey. It took us more than 1 year, 1.5 years, I would say, to do that. On ECC, we offered several nodes which can be used as well. So you can make use on HANA there as well. In S/4HANA, all those optimizations are switched on by default. Just to give you an overview, here, as you can see, a lot of improvements we did. We did as well a small framework for that, where you can switch on those improvements. And we all of them needed to be not only developed but as well tested and checked. And it's all about our core FICA mass processes, as you can see here. Here, just to give you an overview, we did several proof of concepts with customers. For example, this customer here, 56 minutes for 620,000 clearings on the old database with the old hardware compared with the new database and the new hardware. It's always a not really fair comparison, but that's everything you can get in the end in real projects. Very impressive, I would say here, the open item list from 57 minutes to 100 seconds with even the maybe nearly the double of volume to be taken. Yeah, or the write-off run in 23 minutes to 6 minutes. The hardest topic for us was the Dunning runs, especially the Dunning proposal runs. Here it was really hard to achieve a really improvement in our FICA area. Another proof of concept can be seen here. Payment run was very impressive. Here it was reduced down to 4 minutes as an example. The payment list from 3 minutes to 40 seconds, and so on and so on. So you can see really good improvements. So last slide, Susie. Last slide.
My slide.
Topics.
My part. Okay, so what Michael explained before on these POCs was a really exciting journey when we moved to S/4HANA. But this was not the end. We are continuously evaluating our performance capabilities, and not only evaluating, but also improving them. So we have a specialist, and the specialist conducted a first time high volume performance test on HANA scale out. The results are available in the white paper. The link is here under the white paper in blue. We mentioned in the title. Here we really can state that BRIM, so mostly the part of convergent invoicing and FICA, but also other parts of BRIM that are not the topic of today. So BRIM is for billionaires. With billionaires, we can proudly state these are customers that must handle billions of events per day. So the events mentioned before when I explained the capabilities of convergent invoicing. We tested along the typical process chain that most customers execute nightly. You see, since I mentioned that batch window before, this is an important aspect of our processing of our mass activities we have to execute in convergent invoicing and in FICA. So this starts with a consumption item upload, SIT upload, over the billable item upload, over billing, invoicing. You know, now these are 2 steps. The payment run all the way down to the correspondence print. As already stated in the title, the volumes we processed were 1 billion consumption items and billable items of 100 million business partners. But this is not the end. We have customers in productive mode live with more than 1 billion end customers, with more than 400 million business partners. So it depends a little bit on the business, and it depends on the individual runs, and it depends also on the hardware a customer is running. So in other words, we had roughly 10 SITs and bits per business partner. You can see the results in the gray box on the right hand of the slide. SIT and bit upload, billing and payment run took roughly half an hour. CI triggered rating, what I explained also before. We can store and collect the consumption items and then hand over to rating. Convergent invoicing and correspondence print around 3 hours each. The total runtime was approximately 13 hours. So for this test, HANA was used in a scale-out scenario. That means the database is distributed over several servers, 6 in this case. Michael, can you go to the next slide? We provide here as well some arguments or some of the reasons why we are so fast, why we can increase throughput and lower TCO. We list here the performance drivers to achieve reduced resource demand, resources in case of data storage and CPU time, and scalability. Performance drivers to avoid acquisition of expensive hardware, and performance drivers to lower TCO. If we start at the left side, data model, we have a specific data model that supports the logical and technical partitioning to avoid database locks and contention. So we can have more mass activities in parallel, faster access to the appropriate current data to be processed, and we can drop tables. The parallelization is, yes, the most crucial principle we are using for our batch processes. So the business processes where we have large volumes of data and that shall be processed, such as billing, payment collection, dunning, are realized by these so-called mass activities. The mass activities automatically split the data set to be processed, such as quantity of business partners or contract accounts, into several technical jobs and process them in parallel. So the business partner or the contract account or whatever we call the parallelization objects. The effect is we can substantially reduce the overall process time, runtime. On the right-hand side, we mentioned already that we are aggregating from the single event till we end up in the universal journal in general ledger or controlling. The effect is high volume billing, often low value, I mentioned also before. Data are persisted as granular information and itemized in bills, but not required on this level in the general ledger. Stepwise aggregation avoids long-running update mass processes from event to GL. We have the high automation, also mentioned before, that is based on business rules and configurable exceptions, resulting in clarification cases that ensure high throughput, but individual treatment in billing and invoicing and subledger processes. So overall, by doing this that way, we can achieve a reduction of manual processing time. And also in a separate slide, we explained already the tight connection of invoicing, contract accounts, and contract accounting, that we can take over already in invoicing some of the subledger processes and then come to save the time for later processes like payment, account maintenance, dunning, and so on. That is also a reduction of the batch window. Now, it's time to come to the future. First message is here an important slide with a interesting link. If you click to view BRIM roadmap later on in your slides, you will come to a platform, the SAP roadmap platform, where we have tailored a specific area for billing and revenue innovation management, and where you can see for contract accounting, for convergent invoicing, for other components in the BRIM end-to-end solution, what we delivered as innovation. On the left-hand side, we have the recent innovations for the S/4HANA 2020 release. They are marked with a blue frame, so they are already delivered. You can go back into the past and see, starting with, I think it's 2017, where we started with these innovations, what has been developed and provided in the past, maybe as a delta to your existing ECC landscape. But not also the past and what is delivered. For the delivered innovations, we can drill down on that platform until we reach information we attach to all these innovations of a roadmap for more information. Maybe it is some slides like Michael showed for the various topics before. Maybe it is a screenshot for a new Fiori app, so that you can use this as a kind of self-service, what has been delivered and what is in the plan. It's really important in customer projects also to know, do we have something in mind they can save for a customer or project specific development, because we are delivering and planning it anyway, and if they want to contribute, they're welcome. Customers and projects and partners are welcome to contribute to our common journey. So that's a really comprehensive platform with all innovations. But for can you click on to the next slide, Michael? For this meeting today and this session today, we are providing this in a PowerPoint slide. You can see on the left-hand side for the recent innovations for 2020. Most of the innovations have been explained by Michael on the slide. If you mouse over the innovations, you will find links. You can dive into the innovations on our roadmaps or innovation discovery platform, where you can find further information. For the planned innovation, further assets are not yet provided, but you get a clue in a description if you drill down what is in our plans, what is in our development backlog, and when it will roughly come. So these are the planned innovations for the next year, 2021. There are some, basic things we have mostly in our roadmap is support of compliance and legal rules in regards revenue recognition, in regards to invoice issuing, e-document connection, whatever it might be, tax rules. So that's always in our common journey, especially also here, like Michael mentioned right at the beginning of this session. We are tightly connected for IFRS 15 and ASC 606 accounting standards with the SAP revenue accounting component. And as you can imagine, we have again and again proposals and needs to improve and enhance this integration with revenue accounting. We have other integration topics in mind for the 2021, the main release in autumn next year. One is to improve controlling and profitability analysis, so COPA, with the incorporation of costs for subscriptions and usage. So mainly we can deal with revenues for all these years to feed into COPA. Now, if we have a clue that what is the cost of a usage, or what cost elements we have in the usage, because we might have third-party involvement and other aspects where we have to deal with costs, we can split them off from the single customer transaction and route them to COPA, of course, also at a certain aggregation level, but we have in mind to have this also flexible in regards to what granular information is required here. We have a second topic also for the next main release in S/4HANA, which is the early information of cash and liquidity management on our subscriptions and usage. Usually when we post the invoice into FICA, cash management and liquidity forecast is updated. Now it is required to see this already with a certain confidence level when a contract, a subscription over maybe 2 years is accepted and carries a recurring charge. This shall be visible right at that point in time when the contract is created in cash management. Also, if we have maybe a quarterly billing cycle and we are receiving usage every day from our end customers, we want to see this also with a certain confidence level in cash management, since this will be subject to a later invoice and we will get money in some point in time for this fulfillment of our services. Also exciting is what Michael explained before with the situations. We want to cover most of our mass activities with the connection to the situations handling, to provide an end-to-end monitoring and alert cockpit for the real-time intervention, to intervene when we see something is happening instead of investigating in the must-run logs. And also mentioned already, we have the last point for the main release 2021, the dispute management as part of the financial customer care, and with invoice correction requests as the adjustment requests as part of the interaction center, to have that 360 degree of our customers and can deal right completely with the complaints. Exciting, but product direction for 2021. So not that precisely, these are our ideas where we already are starting with ideas and concepts, is the end-to-end reconciliation from event to GL and contract accounting and invoicing. So if you see that remember that process stream we have seen in today's session with events with billable items, consumption items flowing into the system, delivered from a rating system. Contracts created maybe in a subscription order management or in an own platform. We want to keep track on that and monitor these until through all the aggregation and processing steps until they end up in the universal journal. And not only monitor and track them. Are they complete? What happened could all be processed. Where are maybe gaps for revenue assurance, but also to reconcile these things. So keep track on the amounts and see what has been processed, what has been already paid, what is still maybe in a deferral, a revenue deferral process, or what is still in an unbilled portion. So that's the plan, a huge achievement if we can provide this as a really user-friendly cockpit and comprehensive cockpit right from end to end. And since Michael has now fun with machine learning use cases, since he explained and developed and drove the Cash app with FICA, we have already new plans in mind for improving the collection process for intelligent collections in FICA, mainly making up, hopefully making some of the rules we have to set up for the collection strategies obsolete by learning from the Dunning success, from the collection success, to derive the optimal collection step for the next Dunning. Right, and the product vision is a bit more far ahead for the 2023 release, but we will never end in our developments and in our BRIM story with convergent invoicing and FICA. We have in mind to provide some simulation capabilities. If we have to deal with usage, we want to have some estimation capabilities to provide this knowledge to our customers. Is if he is supposed to subscribe to a service, what will be the monthly invoice? And as a last point we have here in mind is to offer a commercial model based on maybe multiple tariffs and a promise to the end customer that he will be billed according to the best tariff for him, so the tariff that delivers the lowest invoice amount to the end customer. This is also not trivial, having all the simulations of the invoice calculation for these various tariffs, and also proof point that to the end customers. In general, you see that the portion we have on the left-hand side for the recent innovations is much bigger than we have as a product vision. That's also based on the fact that we listen to our customers and are in conversation with our customers in a dialogue and listen what they might need. And we put it either on top of our developments if we can consume this from a capacity perspective, or we shift other innovations that are where we is not the demand from the customers to a later point in time. So a roadmap is nothing written in stone. The roadmap evolves and changes over time, and therefore we have seen the need to establish that Roadmap Explorer with a link in the slide before, that you can make your own picture if you go into roadmaps and see how what is happening in our solution. Now that's it from our side. This is the last slide probably of our session today. We thank you a lot for your interest and your attendance, and would be happy to talk to you and see you in a virtual meeting or even face-to-face at a later point in time.